So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Shapiro. Is there a second? I'll second that. And we will move to board comment. Any board comments or questions?
Yep.
Good. Commissioner Gale?
A 22% increase in property taxes over a 2-year period is a clear indication that we have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. My Democrat colleagues will tell you that there is absolutely no waste in county government, but I have done a thorough review of the budget and have identified several ways to reduce spending. We can start by holding the line on spending. If all the departments slated to receive increases in this proposed budget were instead held to the same amount of funding they actually spent this year, the amount of new spending in this proposed budget would be decreased by $6,875,000. That decrease is derived without cutting funding, but by simply not spending more than was spent in 2016. And I should note that that figure still includes the 2.75% salary increase for non-union employees. If a department could function at the amount they actually spent this year, it is not unrealistic to expect that they can continue to operate at the same spending level next year without sacrificing the level of service they currently provide. It is important to note that the $6,875,000 I have identified excludes departments supplemented by grant money. Over the past 11 months that I have been serving as commissioner, I have seen wasteful spending that should be eliminated moving forward. Take, for example, the handling of the county campus project. In December of last year, before I took the board, the commissioners voted to award Athenian Razak a 1-year, $1 million contract to provide consulting services for the new county campus plan. Then in September, the commissioners voted to hire another firm for construction management services related to the same project. At the same time, without my knowing, they created a new $125,000 position in the Commissioner's Department titled Capital Projects Program Director, whose main responsibility is to oversee the county campus project. This redundancy and reliance on consultants is driving up the costs on both the county capital budget and the operating budget. Another example of unnecessary redundancy is the position of the Communications Director in the Commissioner's Department. When the former Communications Director retired earlier this year, the current Press Secretary successfully fulfilled all the duties of the Communications Director during the vacancy of the position. In my opinion, this indicates that the Communications Director position can and should be eliminated to create efficiency and would save the taxpayers $93,000 per year. Another example of unnecessary redundancy falls in the Health Department. The current County Medical Director, Arshad Ali Sheikh, who has a salary of $130,000, is not a licensed physician in Pennsylvania, a requirement the Commonwealth sets for someone to serve as director. Because of his lack of qualifications, another position, part-time medical director, was created at a cost of $40,000. By simply replacing the current medical director with a licensed physician who meets the requirements and eliminating the part-time director position would result in a net savings of $40,000. Another example of unnecessary position falls under a department I once worked in, the Recorder of Deeds. Since my time in the department, a position has been created titled Director of Communications and Outreach. This position has a salary of $52,000. I know firsthand that the Recorder of Deeds Department does not need a Director of Communications and Outreach. The employee holding this position is the former Executive Director of the Montgomery County Democrat Committee. I do not necessarily oppose or approve the hiring of employees based on their party affiliation, but when positions are being created that are unnecessary, with salaries that are nearly twice that of a recording clerk in the Recorder of Deeds Department, and more than the average starting salary of our assistant district attorneys, I think it is appropriate to call out that type of political patronage abuse that is bloating our county's operating budget. Speaking of our district attorneys, District Attorney Steele has publicly expressed his concerns with the retention rate in his office. His struggle to maintain consistency in staff has resulted in additional expenses associated with training new attorneys. If the redundant, unnecessary positions I just mentioned were eliminated, the money saved would be more than enough to cover the $230,000 that District Attorney Steele has requested to make salaries more competitive with those of surrounding counties, a request my colleagues deny in their proposed budget. In total, I have just outlined over $7 million that could have and should have been eliminated from the proposed budget before raising taxes and putting a heavier burden on the backs of Montgomery County taxpayers. For this reason, I will not support this proposed budget.
And then we can have a debate on that. That's how you prepare a motion. So do the homework, prepare a motion, and ask the commissioners to consider it. Have a responsible plan. Don't just sit there pontificating
You're
over some
foaming at the
talking
mouth.
points that others have read.
I mean, this is ridiculous. You're foaming at the mouth. Again, I'm the only one on the board identifying waste that should be eliminated prior to raising the taxes on the residents of Montgomery County. So call it a comment, go forward with the vote, and give the residents another Christmas gift this year of higher taxes.
We'll move to a vote. Are there any negative votes?
Negative vote here. Opposed.
Let's do a roll call vote then, please.
Chair Arkush,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shapiro,
Aye.
Commissioner Gale,
Opposed.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to the 2017 capital fund budget. Let's move to a roll call vote then.
Chair Arkush,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shapiro,
Aye.
Commissioner Gale,
Opposed.
Okay, resolutions. An authorization of an increase to the hotel room rental tax. And let's move on to a roll call vote, please.
Chair Arkush,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shapiro,
Aye.
Commissioner Gale,
Opposed.
Okay, next, approval of applications for, I'm sorry, motion carries.
Now we do need to vote.
Okay.